Hello, welcome to Biblify. Today we will discuss about the seventh bowl in the book of Revelation. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, the first bowl is related to the plague of pandemic. And in Revelation 16:2, it is said, "For the first angel went and poured out his bowl on the earth, and loathsome, malignant sores broke out on those who had the mark of the beast and worshipped its image." And Leviticus 26:21, "If you walk in hostility toward me and refuse to obey me, I will multiply your plague 7 times according to your sin." Okay, the plague here is actually reversed to pandemic related to worship of Antichrist. You can see in the past, there are some history record about the plague that is happening in the world, right? The first is the Antonine Plague, which devastated the Roman Empire and killed 100 million people in 165 AD. Okay, this is related to worship of emperor is common during the Roman religion, just during the Roman Empire. Okay, under the Justinian Plague, which is devastated the Byzantine Empire and killed 50 million people in 540 AD. Okay, it is caused by the worship of Pope, which is common in Papal supremacy during the Byzantine period. There are also another plague that is related to the worship of Khan, which is the bubonic plague, which devastated Mongolian Empire and killed 200 million people in 1350 AD. So this is common during the Mongolian Empire. They are Mongolian shamanism religion that worship Genghis Khan, right? And there are actually another plaque that is related to Jubilee years that happen in cyclical period every around 100 years. So we will discuss here in another video. This is actually Black Death in 1720, and then Florida attack in 1820, Spanish flu in 1920, and coronavirus in 2020. It's just quite recent, right? And Jubilee year here actually happen every 50 years. And during this period of time, if you take a look on the book of Leviticus 25:26, there are mentioned during Jubilee years there will be a punishment and also blessing. And the punishment here is one of it are the plague, right? So which is the pandemic. So every 50 years we will see some blessing or either punishment, right? So however, as we see on the history back in time, there are actually 100 years history of the plague that is causing by this cyclical jubilee years related to the punishment of jubilee years. But noted that actually the plague itself or pandemic is not always related to the cyclical stuff because there are other things that is related to the worship of king or empire, but there are also in the book of Matthew that is mentioned the plague or pandemic related to something else, which is can be happen anytime without even the cyclical stuff. Okay, so now goes to the next slide, which is the second bowl, which related to the Deadly Sea. In Revelation 16:3, it is mentioned that second angel poured out his bowl into the sea, and it turned to blood like that of the dead, and every living thing on the sea died. Okay, there is a non-literal translation here because the blood is actually a symbolical meaning of death. As you mentioned that the book of Revelation is actually book of symbolical. There are a lot of symbol there and it related to some meaning, right? So this related to the destruction of the marine life, but here, okay? And okay, this blood or the death of the marine life, it is caused by several stuff. It could be unsustainable fish exploitation to feed ever increasing human population. As we see today, human population increasing from 7, 8, 9 billion, and there a lot of need a lot of fish to feed the human, not only fish but also chicken and also plant animal, right? Okay, toxic waste is another cause where ever increasing shipping road and industrialization cause a lot of pollution, right? Okay, And also it can also be caused by several other things like battle in the ocean, carpet bombing, nuclear tests, weapon of mass destruction, ocean radioactive contamination, which is caused by the aftermath of the apocalyptic nuclear war. And the other natural disaster which also cause the death of marine life, like subterranean volcanic tsunami, red tides, jade blooms, which cause some toxic in the produce some toxic in the ocean. And there are other non-literal meaning of the sea, because as you can see that the sea may also represent the financial and economic system, while the river is actually symbolical meaning of the monetary system, right? Which is a financial and economic system become red blood, become deadly because it was caused by a destruction of the economic system, right? Financial economic system may damage the human survival. Does human depend on the monetary system? Depend on the financial and economic system. In the past, humans depend on the rivers and the sea more, but in the modern world, we are depend more on the monetary system and the financial economic system. All right. So we can see on the next slide, which is the deadly river. This is the third bowl. And the Revelation 16:4, it is said the third angel poured out his bowl onto the river of the spring water, and they turned to blood. Okay, the blood here also another symbolical meaning of the death. Rivers and spring water is actually the basic support for human life, especially during the farming land in the past, right? And turn to blood mean it is become deadly. Okay. Out of cause for this is basically something like continuous industrialization and toxic pollution, nuclear radiation, and could destroy this. And something else like a battle in the land, carpet bombing, nuclear tests, weapon of mass destruction, and river radioactive contamination caused by the aftermath of apocalyptic nuclear war can also make the river become deadly. Okay, and in the past, right, now the farmers actually depend on the river to irrigate their farmland to give them the food to survive. So this is the backbone of their economic system, right? And in the modern context, this river may also represent the monetary system today, like banking system that is printing the money, right? The monetary system here is like a river because it's come out of the spring of water, right? Which is the central bank, which is about producing a lot of money, right? And then feed up the money to the banking system, and the banking system lending the money to corporate world, etc. And this river finally goes to the ocean, which is the financial and economic system, which is the trading world. And the destruction of this monetary system could cause a severe financial or economic crisis. So it may cut off humans from the basic means of survival, especially in the modern world. So we have literal and non-literal mapping here. The literal mapping is meaning the real destruction of the land, which is the river, sorry, which is caused by pesticide pollution. And a non-literal meaning is a Great Depression that destroyed the financial and economic system. Okay. Scorching Sun, which is the fourth bowl. Revelation 16:8-9. And the fourth angel poured out his bowl on the sun, and it was given the power to scorch the people with fire. And the people were scorched by intense heat, and they cursed the name of God, who had authority over this blood, and they did not repent and give him glory. Life on Earth, as we know it, protected from the sun by flare of magnetic field. Right, there is a magnetic field that shield us from the sunglass. Yeah, it is generated by the Earth core rotation. So Earth magnetic pole, which is in the north and south pole, is never actually be static. It's always moving and always shifting, and can also be flipped from south to north, north to south. Right. Over time, our magnetic pole is actually weakened, right? And also it's no longer able to protect us from sunblast when it is flipping, right? So when it happened, the life on Earth could be easily scorched to death by the fires that is coming from the heaven, which is the sun blast. Okay. Other disaster could also cause this scorching effect, like nuclear blast, heat wave, firestorm, forest fire, and prolonged drought. Right? In the past, farmer, okay, take the sunlight to grow crop. Overexposure of crop could kill their harvest. So in the modern world, we can translate the scorching sun as a system of monetary system that cause us to be overheated, which is inflation. Right? Monetary system requires a normal amount of inflation, around 2%, that drive the market. Right? But however, if the inflation costs increase too much, it causes hyperinflation, and it could be in reverse effect on the financial system. It could damage the financial economic system and cause them to be overheated. It crashes the value of currency to be worthless and the price of everything skyrocketing. Okay, so here are the chart of some uh, currency that has been crashed in the past, in reverse to the gold, right? So there's some hyperinflation that happened to Zimbabwe. Right? It's caused like how many times? It's thousand times, a million times of million percentage of inflation, which is really huge. Okay, next. On the fifth bowl, it is mentioned about the great darkness, Revelation 16:10-11. And the fifth angel poured out his bowl on the throne of the beast, and his kingdom was plunged into darkness. And the men began to gnaw their teeth in anguish, and cursed God of heaven for their pains and sores, and they did not repent of their deed. Okay, in general, almost any natural disaster can produce darkness. Which is caused by the cloud, smoke or ash that covering the earth from the sunlight. Right? The darkness happens during the cyclone, typhoon, hurricane, tornadoes, forest fire, volcano, etc., etc. Okay. However, severe darkness could also be caused by supervolcanic eruption or maybe worldwide nuclear war, and it is covering the entire world from the sunlight, and the temperature will drop and cause a winter, cold winter. So this is known as a volcanic winter or nuclear winter. We have the volcanic winter in the past, as mentioned in the history, like first Mount Vesuvius eruption that caused a volcanic winter in Roman Empire in 79 AD. Okay, and Ilapango caldera eruption that is covering the Byzantine Empire volcanic winter in 536 AD. And then also Mount Tambora eruption that caused a volcanic winter around the world in 1815 AD. In the past, right, the farmer needs the sunlight to grow crop. The lack of uh, light thereof could kill the harvest. However, there is a non-literal meaning of this great darkness, as the modern economic system could also mean be an economic depression. Right? Economic depression happens when economic activity slows down or complete stop. This is similar to the effect of the great darkness on the literal meaning, right? When it happens, we won't be able to sell or buy anything even though we have money. So it can happen to our economic system when it is not functioning or collapse, right? So you can see here nuclear winter simulation that will happen in the future if all the world powers, superpower, they are releasing their nuclear weapon. Okay, and here are some charts showing how the supervolcano size compared to the average volcano, and also the last nuclear bomb that is comparing to the last nuclear bomb that has been exploded during the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? So, okay, the next poll, which is the sixth one, is regarding the Armageddon War. Okay, Armageddon War, not to confuse with the war of World War III that will happen in the future. Armageddon War actually is the last war after the World War II, or maybe after the World War IV. I don't know how many war will happen in the future. Okay, Revelation 16:10-11. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river of Euphrates, and the water dried up to prepare the way for the king of the east. And they assembled the king in the place in Hebrew called Armageddon. Okay, this is a literal translation of Euphrates River, which is run from Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran. Okay. Actually, nation along the Euphrates River has been in the middle of battlefield for 1,000 years. If you see the map of the war in the past, the war is always happened around this region for 1,000 years from different empire, from Babylon, Persian, Greece, Roman, Byzantine, Caliphate, Mamluk, Ottoman, etc. So all the battle, if you move, overlap everything from beginning of the world until the end of human civilization, right? Until today human civilization. So all the battle mainly are happening around this region, most of them. Okay. So although sometimes part of the river is actually dried up, but it not has been completely dried yet until today. Okay. The king of the East here should refers to the union of the nation of East Asian in the future. As you see that we have the video talking about what will happen in the future, there will be a world government that govern 10 union of nation, and out of this 10 union of nation there will be European Union, East Asian Union, etc. And the king of the East here should be the Union of Nation of East Asia that caused the final battle, right? This Armageddon battle is the final war that happened after the worldwide nuclear apocalypse. Armageddon is the Mount Megiddo in Israel, which has been the battle zone for 1,000 years. Jerusalem has been contested by different nations and religions all for 1,000 years. The king here refers to all the king under the world government in the future. So all the king of the world will be gathered, and at its time when the Jesus will come to Mount Zion, and the second time to save the Israel from perdition. Okay, this will he will come and destroy all the world military power, and in the end of time will uh, release us from their sting of the dangerous weapon, right? Okay, so the final bowl will be the final wrath. Okay, Revelation 16:18 to 19, and there were flashes of lightning and rumbling and peal of thunder and great earthquake, the like of which that had not occurred since men were upon the earth. So mighty was the great quake. The great city was split into three parts, and the city of the nation collapsed. And God remembered Babylon the Great and gave her the cup of the wine of fury of his wrath. And every island's flat and the mountain could be found, and the great hailstone, weighing almost 100 pounds, it rained down on them from above, and men cursed God for their pluck of hail, because it was so horrendous. Okay, the Babylon the Great is actually rearing the world government. Why? Because originally all the world government system are coming out of from the Babylon. So all the great empire coming from the Babylon. So you can see Babylon become Greece, Greece become Roman Empire, Roman Empire divided into West and Eastern Roman Empire, become Ottoman King, and also Europe, and then finally it's spread all over the world until today. Even the world today are divided into the Western and Eastern part of the nation, right? So actually they are the remnant of the Roman Western and Eastern Roman Empire. Okay, the great earthquake here could be the earthquake that is the magnitude of more than 10 Richter scale. Okay, the Richter scale is a logarithmic scale. Increasing number means 10 times increase in magnitude. Babylon here is where all the king of the earth began. Many big cities may collapse. Okay, islands could not, island could disappear due to the sea level rising, and the mountain flatten due to the tectonic shift. Hailstones are formed during the thunderstorm. Okay, hailstone size is correlated to the temperature size and then storm size. The bigger the temperature and the bigger the storm, the bigger the hailstone, because 100 pounds of hailstone is a refrigerator size. It could be caused by 8 scale hurricane. So bigger than 8 maybe, because we have to sustain the height of the stone in order to make the hailstone bigger. The larger the storm, the larger will be the stone. The later stone may be like a basketball size, but in the future it will become getting bigger, because you can see the bubble of the pollution of CO2 increase logarithmically. So in the near future, we will be having greater and greater storm size and greater hurricane size, and that will be greater hailstone size. Hurricane category is determined by the speed of the air circulating in logarithmic scale, as you can see here in the chart here. All right, that's all for our video today. In the future, we will discuss more about the other seven uh, seven bowl in the Bible. Right? Thank you very much for watching, and see you next on our next video. Bye bye.